first. Only 5 people in the world have officially played the most famous film character in film history. And while some actors have received knighthoods, he went one better, and he became a saint. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Mr. Roger Moore! Have a seat, Roger. Great to see you. Thanks very much for coming along.
I'd go anywhere for a free martini.
Looking debonair and dashing as always.
Well, thank you.
No, you are. Was that something that you felt you were born to be? This debonair, dashing character? Or is it something that you decided, right, one day, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to be?
No, I was going to be a policeman.
Like your dad?
Like my father. And then I was going to be an architect. Then I became a cartoonist. And then I became an actor. And I don't know, when I decided I was going to be dapper, I think I was just very lucky having a good tailor.
No, you've always been dapper.
I've got his address, by the way.
Have you? Thanks.
Doug Haywood, London.
Do you mean I need it?
No,
Well,
this
thanks.
is very smart. Doesn't he look good? Yeah! What, are you all related to him?
Yes. Is it true that in your early film career, pretty young actresses refused to act with you? Is that true?
No, I think I made that up. But I was very pretty when I was a boy. I was terrible. I mean, I was too pretty. And this was the problem. And I was always told that I would, sort of when I got around 40, things would improve. So I got around 40 and it went downhill.
We have some photographs of you as a pretty young boy in a life before acting when you were a model, when you were modeling knitwear.
Yeah, I did that for a year. I was understudying in a play, and I had all day free. And I had a friend who was doing photography, and said, you'll earn money doing this. And I got 30 bob an hour, and I pushed it up to £2 an hour. I really raised the standard of modeling.
Yes, you did. Let's have a look. Because at £2 an hour, you could have bought quite a number of these knitting patterns. There they are. Roger Moore and his knitting patterns. Oh, look at that. Did you knit that jacket yourself?
I couldn't even hold the pipe between my teeth.
Now, we have been doing some of our own research because I would like to be a knitwear model. And can you give me some tips? Let's have a look at the sort of work that I've been doing in the last few days. There we are. What do you think? Is that okay? Is that me?
I think the sweater's a little tight. Or is it a cardigan?
It's a cardigan.
It's a cardigan.
Because we only do cardigans, you and I.
Yes, well, I think you look beautiful in that.
Can we have a look at some more, please, just to see if I'm getting the poses right?
Oh, that's very good. That's very good.
Yes, I've practiced that all day.
A little something more interesting with your hands, like one on the hip or something. You know?
Oh, I tried that, but then I was followed home by a number of men.
I'm not surprised.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Now, your eyebrow. I want to talk to you about your eyebrow. Now, this hydraulic movement that you have in your eyebrow, again, is that natural, or is it something that at one stage you thought, this would be good for a character, I'm going to stand in front of a mirror until I teach myself how to control an eyebrow?
No, I never thought about it, except when I was first went to Hollywood back in 53. And I was under contract to MGM, and I started making movies, and they said, you know, remember that the screen is 60 foot high, and every time you raise your eyebrow, it goes up 28 feet. So they made me freeze my face, and so the early films I did, my face never moved. My performance never moved either. So I left Hollywood and came back to England and made a television series, Ivanhoe. And at that point, nobody was telling me what I shouldn't do. And I did what I felt like doing, and my eyebrow feels like going up, it goes up.
Who do you think's good at doing it?
Rory Bremmer's very good.
And who are you good at doing?
Well, I don't know whether I'm very good. I worked with Burton and Harris and Michael Caine. Michael, you know, says...
I believe you do a mean Michael Caine.
Do you know, John? I am here because my friend wrote... Now, don't you ever do that again. Please. I saw you. You moved. I said, you know. But Michael, actually, he's got a short fuse. And he gets a vein that comes out in his neck. You know, I mean, you know, when he gets one of his fits on him. And he's hysterical.
So you ever say, I cannot do a German accent? Because I bloody well can do a German accent. See, Kyle?
That's very good. That's very effective. That's good.
It's better than Michael Caine.
It is. You played Ivanhoe, Brett Sinclair in The Persuaders, Simon Templar in The Saint, then you moved on to James Bond. Were you surprised to be offered the role of James Bond at that time in your career?
No, not really, because Cubby Broccoli and Harry Saltzman, who produced it, were friends of mine and had been for 10 years. And we'd spoken about me doing it about 5 years before I did it, when Sean was getting a little uppity and said he was going to leave, and so they spoke to me about doing one.
And at that time, what did you think you could have brought to the part that perhaps Sean Connery didn't?
Another suit. All I know is that when we started Bond, Guy Hamilton, who was directing the first one, avoided me saying anything like shaken, not stirred, which was a Sean line. And the only thing I ever said that Sean actually said was, my name is Bond, James, whatever it was.
Did you expect to end up...
James Bond. And they were frightened I'd say that Scots.
Did you expect to play it 7 times when you signed up?
No. I did the one. I had a contract with options for 3. I never thought it would go beyond the first one. It'd been running for an awful long time.
Just your own Bond movies, but Bond movies in general. What's your view of them? What do you think of them?
Well, to be quite honest, I don't watch them.
Really?
I saw the ones I was in because I had to do it, because, you know, I was in them and I had to go to the premieres. But I prefer love stories.
Do you really?
Yeah, I'm a romantic. And musicals. I love musicals.
I want to ask you quite a serious question, which that may be related to. In the light of events on September the 11th, obviously there's been a great focus on Hollywood and a great focus on the superhero, the super spy, action films and how they possibly could be changing in light of those events. What's your view on that? Do you feel that perhaps the way you played Bond in a tongue-in-cheek way is the only way you're ever going to get away with that sort of action hero anymore?
Well, I don't know. You see, the tragedies of September the 11th are not related to anything of the violence that you see in Bond films. This is inhuman violence, and I know they now have a big problem in Hollywood because there are a number of films that are up for release which are disaster films, and of course they can't show them. A lot of them have themes, you know, sort of that are bearing slightly on the awful truth, and so they won't be released, not for a year at least.
Yeah. I noticed you've been just making a film with Cuba Gooding Jr. called Boat Trip. Is that, as you've said, a romantic comedy, a musical?
Well, it's sort of romantic. It's romantic. The story is quite simply, do you know who Cuba Gooding Jr. is?
Show me the money!
He won the Academy
Oscar
for
Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire. Anyway, he and an American comedian called Horatio Sanz, who's on Saturday Night Live. 2 guys, one's just been jilted by his girlfriend and the other one is always trying to get a girl. And so they decide they will go where the ratio is 3 to 1, they believe, which is on a cruise. They get on the boat and they discover it's a gay cruise. I'm a passenger on the boat. Okay. I say no more.
You don't need to. No need to, Roger. If we were interested in reading about your life story, is there ever a chance of you writing your autobiography? Because I know you started it.
No, I started because Michael Caine kept telling me about it. He says, you've got to do it, you know, you've got to do it. And I really didn't. I thought, because I didn't want to sit down and write something chronologically what happened. And there are too many people still alive that I would probably say cruel things about or would upset by telling the truth. So I then thought, I know what I do. I'll write my medical history because
you're a hypochondriac.
I'm bordering on hypochondriac. Well, no, I'm not a hypochondriac. A hypochondriac is somebody who thinks he's sick. I know I am.
Is it
And
true that
every
everywhere you go, you make sure you know where the medical specialists are and who they are?
Oh, I love pharmacists, and I have doctors everywhere. No, I really, I believe in being healthy. I'm 98. I enjoy feeling well. And if I don't feel well, I feel lousy.
But not well enough to write your autobiography.
No, so
You lost some of it,
anyway,
though,
no,
didn't
I started this book, and I was going to sort of track, actually, my medical history, and I'd written 15,000 words, and I'd only got to 10 years of age. And I was going to call it Out of the Bedpan into the Fire. But I lost the disc was stolen in a case at Geneva Airport. And so I never had the desire to go back and write again.
Just to conclude, I want to ask you about James Bond. The next James Bond, names are being bandied about. Do you have an opinion? Should it be Colin Firth? Should it be Robbie Williams? Should it be Russell Crowe? Would they go for someone small, bald and desperate, do you think?
I think, John, I think you'd be an awfully good choice.
Thanks. My name is... No, I just haven't got it.
You have it.
I haven't. But will you please, for the moment, thank the man who has, Mr. Roger Moore. Stay with us.